So hello friends, this is a video made in Cirebon in northern Java or central western Java, and here I have a little time to think about the philosophies of and also philosophies of quantum and make a video. And when you ask somebody what really quantum philosophy stands for, I have not found one who could put it in 3, 4 key concepts. But there's hundreds of books written about quantum, and really, if you see a few of them, you know all of them. It's a repetition, and it's almost like yeah, like a religion where the same stories about the the founders are repeated over and over, and um, then now also most of the quantum conventions are basically repetition of always the same material. And then if you look at the YouTube videos about it, it's again the same. And I want to start again the discussion, and I'm using here Quantswami, I wanted to say, but Goswami, not Quantswami. Goswami's YouTube video here about the quantum view of God. Not because I have anything against Goswami, no, because I think it's just one of the many good summaries of what quantum philosophy today is about. So don't take me wrong, it's not about against him. It's just about some ideas, and I'll only take one idea out of this video this time. I'll do a few more videos all about this one YouTube video and show you in detail why I think there is not much basis in quantum philosophy and not much future also, and in fact that I think it's actually in many ways destructive and inhibiting really spiritual experience. So let's have Goswami talk a little bit.
Many people today have a naive interpretation of God. They conceive of God as being an emperor on a throne in the sky, and then set up that straw God and then refute it. So how has your work dealt with this problem?
This is a general problem about bringing the new scientific view in the forefront of popular opinion. The problem is that this God has been discarded by generally philosophers and scientists alike, most educated people, at least a century ago. So this is really not the issue anymore.
So the idea of the emperor on the throne has been refuted by scientists and as you say, a century ago. And I think this is a big mistake from a very one-sided American viewpoint. The idea that God is a very high being, and to put him on a throne or in any other way adore him is not cast out since a century. It's alive, and it's very healthy still for many parts of the world. I'm here in Indonesia right now, which most people don't even know that it's an Islamic country, and it probably has more people than all the Islamic countries that you can name together. So about 250 million people, of which 200 million about are Muslims. And it's a very healthy culture, I would say. There's the prayers starting at 5 in the morning, and there's the women with scarves, and there is everything that you know about Muslim culture, but it's very alive and healthy, and the most sweetest people in the world. There's almost no criminality. I mean, you cannot imagine how much you can trust people. You can give them money and you make a date and an appointment and they will be there. And there is smiles everywhere. I mean, smiles everywhere. And it's not like in America where I think most people don't even know what is antidepressants. And these are people that adore from their heart the God, and that have all the rituals of Muslim culture. But it's not as old. It's only 500 years old here in Indonesia. It was started by a few saints who now saints, but just inspired um, um, Muslims coming from Persia at 500 years ago and starting a new civilization, a new religion in this huge country 500 years ago. And there was no war. They just adopted it because they had a great people who were the examples. So the idea that God is adorable, and it's something different than us, and it's something much higher than us. It's alive and well, and it's the basis of millions, and probably still the majority of people only in corners like USA. They're struggling with finding a new relationship to something higher, and I will show that your concept of the quantum God is really not an option. So, but let's hear more what you have to say.
Unfortunately, by the advent of scientific materialism, which is the idea that everything is made of matter, that some scientists are pushing very hard since 1950s, religions have been pushed to a corner. Fundamentalists have grown in not only America but in other countries as well. Some of the effects we are seeing in the form of terrorism, as extreme as that. But when this happens, very primitive pictures of God come back to the forefront. So the more materialism pushes on these people to give up their belief system and accept one which is selfish and negative and hedonistic, the more these people tend to believe in a God which is very simplistic of the olden days, forgetting some of the reasons that we have to give up on such a God. So, is God like that? No. The God that science is rediscovering for the past couple of decades is very different. It has to be compatible with science, of course. So it is a very scientific God.
Summary of what the media tell people today on the CNN news and the American media, that we really have to fight not with people but with just very primitive belief systems, with the fundamentalists, with all the clerics in Iran and Iraq who want to enslave people and not allow them their freedom that they really want and that they deserve and that they need. So that's the belief system that lets the young American soldiers march into the war and say, yes, we'll bring the freedom to those people. They will have the freedom to decide what they want to believe, and they don't have to believe in one God who is outside of them, who is really, he is like the emperor on the throne. He is the monarch. He has nothing to do with the American idea of brotherly love, of equality, of democracy. He is like the old God that was really never happening and never true, and now that's what you want to show the people like the rest of the American media. This is the reason why we have so much terrorism, and that's why the American army has to go out and protect our freedom and our security and bring the freedom and the security to all the nations of the world since the last 50 years, Korea, Vietnam, Iran, Iraq, and so on and so on. So let's hear what else you have to say.
But at the same time does retain the most important part of all spiritual traditions. In fact, these people that I just called fearful and fundamentalist because they are being pushed, if you put a God that satisfies the three criterions I'll now mention, even they will basically be satisfied. They may not be satisfied with the details, but everyone who is spiritually minded, religious minded, supports these three notions connected with God and spirituality. The first is, apart from material causation, there is another source of causality in the world. This is the source that is called God. Material causation is called upward causation because cause rises from elementary particles upward to atoms, to molecules, to cells, to brain. This new source of causation, new old, because this is also very old, in the religious traditions, spiritual traditions are given various names, but I will use the phrase downward causation for it to nicely
Yes,
contrast it
sorry.
from upward
You
causation.
explained what is upward
Before you do, could you
causation
tell us what upward
just a few
causation
minutes
is?
ago, but your interviewer didn't have the memory, the brain, or whatever to even listen to you. So, but anyway, you say you have a new old concept, the downward causation, causation. So it's not only matter that causes everything. Believe me, the materialists, they will never die, and they will never be convinced. Just like homeopathy is there 200 years since 200 years, and they still, those who are materially minded will still not agree that homeopathy is doing anything. So that's really a love's labor lost to try to convince the materialists. But you say that once you show that there is scientifically that there is also a causation downward from consciousness, then also the fundamentalists will agree and will not be feel so pushed so much. I mean, it's really naive to imagine that the world will change because you have some, you call them vintage experiments that show that there is some connection between us, and from which you make one, and not only you, but all the quantum philosophers make one conclusion, that we are all connected, and because we are all connected, we should not fight with each other, we should not have wars, we are all one. And then you don't even say it in this video, what's your view of God. This is missing in most quantum discussions. They have all like make some mystic conclusions, but they not go as far as some, this, what's his name, Mark Dwyer, for example, who says, I am God. But it's really about this, that people feel and believe that they are the creators, and the bestseller, The Secret, is really very outspoken about this. You are the creator. There is really no need for a God who is on a throne, because you are God. You are God. So in the end, it boils down to this quantum philosophy of God, the quantum view of God. You don't even say it in this video, but others say it directly like this. But I tell you, that's a big mistake. This idea that you want to enable people to see that they are God, they are the creators, and because we are all gods, we are all connected, so we should not fight with each other. This is not something that will change the world for the better. No, in fact, it's the reason why so many people are on antidepressants today, because we are not meant to believe in something that's just not true, that there is no God, that there is not something to adore, that we are all and everything, that there's nothing that we have to look up to and that we have to pray to and that we have to worship. And in places where this is still true and correct and understood, like in Bali, in Thailand, in Indonesia, with very different religions. Indonesia is Muslim, Bali is a very special way of Hinduism, and in Thailand it's Buddhism. Very different, but they have all one thing in common, that they have a God, and their God is outside of them. It's adorable, and it's the creator of everything, and they are the tools. And as the Muslims say, Allah Akbar, God is great, and Muhammad is his prophet. This is it. It's not to pray to Muhammad. It's not pray to Christ. It's pray to God, and to see that this meditation, this veneration, this adoration, this can give the freedom that you and everybody longs for, and that they have to suppress with antidepressant, always making ever new philosophies of the mind. This is the mind people. They basically cover up their deep longing for something with ever new philosophies. So much about one idea that you brought in this 25-minute video, and I'll talk about all the other ones in the next few weeks.